welcome back. Taking a full look at weather now with Chief Meteorologist Dan Cianca, and also it's Thursday, so
you know what that means, Veronica?
I do.
It's Mother Nature's Thirsty Thursday, or as I like to call it, Drought Update Thursday. It's another name for it. But the good news is, while we are going to show you the drought update every Thursday for the next 9 months or so, we're probably not going to see too many changes. That's some good news, I suppose. Meaning in the negative, right? I mean, couldn't see too much more positive change. I suppose we could. 2.7% of the state is considered to be abnormally dry. And I mean, I guess that could get erased. But at the moment, we're looking pretty good. Locally, of course, we have been drought free since last spring, and we got the amount of rain that we needed this year. So I think it'll take a couple months into next rainy season. So we're talking late November, December, of having no rain to start seeing drought changes here locally. So it's looking pretty good. We'll take it. In fact, we're going to add some rain next weekend. This weekend, a late season storm is on the way for us, and it is going to bring rain to the Central Coast. Can guarantee it. Almost all coastal areas are going to see some rain. Most inland areas will as well. Some areas in the south might not get much. Our setup right now showing general troughiness across the northern plains and northern Rockies, as we've had this kind of setup for a while with the ridge sitting out over the ocean, but the ridge is slowly weakening and moving off to the southwest. That's going to allow this storm system to slide down the coast. And as it arrives here on Saturday, the frontal boundary is going to bring some rain with it. But not tomorrow. We're going to be okay. We do have some low clouds, so when we do have the low clouds, you can't ever say we're definitely going to stay dry. Sometimes you just get a little drizzle just because of how our terrain is situated. But I'm not expecting any widespread drizzle, but it's possible we might get a sprinkle tomorrow morning. Otherwise, mostly cloudy to wake up. We'll start to see those clouds thin up as we head into the daylight hours. Let's get straight to future track and talk about that. So as I mentioned, we're going to start off mostly cloudy around the bay. We'll have patchy fog and low clouds in our inland valleys. And then as we head into the afternoon hours, we'll clear out on the north side of the bay. But we'll probably hold on to a few low clouds on the south and east shores of the bay at times. The winds, which will die down a little bit overnight, will pick back up again in this cycle we've been experiencing day after day for like the last week or so. I mean, we really haven't had much change day to day. We've had those winds. Later in the day tomorrow, the clouds will start to thicken up again and fill back in around the bay as the weather system approaches. And sometimes when that happens, we do actually get some drizzle. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some late tomorrow night. But the actual rain itself, according to this model, will start to work its way into the bay a little after sunrise. I think this one is a little fast, so it may be a little bit later before we see the onset of rain around the bay. But just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect with the frontal boundary, it will be with us for several hours as it passes through. So this is 10 a.m. or so on Saturday. I think most areas around the bay will start to see rain by 10 a.m. And the rain you'll be seeing is light to moderate. We're not expecting heavy rainfall, but it'll certainly be enough to wet the roadways. You might even get some ponding on the roadways in places that you could hydroplate on. Of course, it's been a little dry for the last, I don't know, several weeks. So there might be some oily buildup on the roads that can make things extra slippery. Not like we'd see at the end of a drought or anything, but just watch out for some slippery spots. So the end of this is going to come through probably in the early afternoon. And then after that, we will see isolated showers at best under partly cloudy skies. So the bulk of this rain is going to come through in about a 3 to 4 hour period, late Saturday morning, maybe into the early afternoon hours. And then after that, it'll be very isolated showers. It's still a chance of rain later in the day Saturday, but we're just not going to see any widespread issues. We'll have that chance all the way until around Sunday morning. A few more sprinkles will be possible. And then that's about it. So this is just somewhat of a short window, but it is while many of us are awake and wanting to do some activities, maybe go to a festival or something that's going on Saturday. So the early part of the day looking wet. You might see some drier weather later in the day, and Sunday looking okay, but it's also going to be kind of chilly and breezy, maybe windy, okay? So not the best weekend for outdoor activities, but it is what it is. Future precip showing maybe up to an inch in some of the coastal mountain areas. I think for cities around the bay, we might be close to a ½ an inch plus in Santa Cruz. I think Salinas, that 0.4 might be a little high. I think we're going to see less than that just due to rain shadowing. Maybe a ¼ of an inch at best in places like Salinas, Monterey, maybe a third of an inch. But I'm on board with a ½ an inch plus on the north side of the bay with this system. For inland valleys, you're obviously going to see less. And if you're traveling to the Sierra Nevada this weekend, I-80, US 50, you're going to be in the snow. starting on Saturday and maybe into Sunday morning. So make sure you're ready for winter driving and watch for closures. It's certainly possible that we may see some closures with this system, as it's expected to dump some snow in the higher elevations. Meantime, tomorrow, your Friday, temperature-wise, looking like this: 70s in the Santa Cruz Mountains, 70s on the coast. Pretty comparable to today, maybe just a touch cooler. Davenport and out of the north coast, you're going to stay in the 60s with that wind blowing out of the northwest. On the east shore of the bay, 70s in the north, low 60s in the south. Salinas gets back to 69 tomorrow, upper 70s in Hollister, low 80s in Gilroy. On over to the peninsula, still somewhat cool with winds coming in straight off the water and some low clouds lingering, upper 50s to low 60s. And then points southward away from the coast will get through the 70s, and a few spots still in the 80s tomorrow. But a lot cooler this weekend, so a big temperature change for us, both on the coast and inland. I guess on the peninsula, you're not going to be all that much cooler since you've been kind of cool anyway, but average coastal highs in the upper 50s Saturday, warm up a little bit Sunday. And then next week, a very similar pattern to what we have this week shapes up, with a ridge off to our southwest, a trough to the northeast. And that's going to funnel the air back along the coast in that windy fashion we've been experiencing. So it looks like a pretty comparable week. Although I don't see another weather system on the backside of it, which will bring rain. So I think we'll be dry for quite some time after this weekend system. It's going to be chilly, so make sure you're bundling up this weekend and enjoy it. This might be the last rain we get in quite some time.
All right, staying inside and listening to the rain. Thanks, Dan.